Hello, everyone. Today, to make us all very happy, the topic is genetics. After all, here in Brazil, our breeders work with a lot of love and dedication in order to produce what is best in terms of genetics, not only for our country, but for your country as well, to you who are in whatever tropical country around the world. After all, the Brazilian zebu may help you in increasing productivity of beef and dairy in your country. And it's exactly to discuss that topic and tell us more about the novelties in genetics in our country. We brought here today two experts from Alpha Genetics. Welcome, Guilherme Marques, the dairy manager for
Thank you.
Brazil, and Rafael Oliveira, the manager of beef, cattle, and zebu.
Hi,
Hello, Rafael,
Izzy.
welcome. You were both at Casa do Zebu, which is your house here, because I know very well about the love that you have for zebu. And they both know a lot about the zebu breeds. I know that they're going to bring the best from Alta Genetics to offer to Brazil and the whole world. Now, I would like to ask you to not fail to mention, especially for our international clients, the importance of following sanitary protocols because the role of a central is not just collecting and commercializing genetic material, but mostly to keep the sanitary safety so that you receive in your country genetic quality with a lot of safety. So now I pass the floor to you so that you can bring all the news to our friend and share them all over the world.
Izzy, thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Cattle and NBCZ, that has provided us the probability to sow the genetic material that we make every single day and all of the process investment that we already made in our central lab so that we can have access to all countries that search or this type of wealth here of the genetic material. And Alta, when it started here in Brazil in 1996, brought a different model. It came to be constructed in a way that could have more accessibility to everyone. Our central lab, or central from 2006, received a visitation from the World Health Animal Organization for us to plan the best way possible for us to start with protocols to be enabled or accredited for so many countries that are looking for our genetic material. And so you can have an idea, we also have the possibility to bring our genetic material to many different countries throughout the world. And we are present everywhere nowadays. And it's no wonder that Alta, since 2008, has been getting the leadership of the national market in the amount of doses that are commercialized. Since 2008, we are in the leadership. We have been in the leadership. I have here Rafael Oliveira, veterinarian doctor and manager in the Zebu breed, and he's going to help us at the farm to find the best cows, looking at the different programs of mating and the assessment programs here in Brazil. So we can have the best animals at the top quality animals that's to be reproduced or bred. My grandpa told me a saying, and he said, "It's easier to have 100 to make 100 good cows and then to have one good breeder bull." And that reflects this reality in a central of donor and breeders that might be one of the hardest things to be done in a farm, right? Half when we today we are in the leadership of the market and in an activity that is very interesting, which is the artificial insemination activity. What can we talk to, what we can tell to the audience here of Brazilian cattle? I say that today to work in a central of insemination, it's one of the largest responsibilities that we might have. because the genetic offer of this breeder is multiplied in many other breeding areas. So the responsibility that we have in a farm to follow this work in the farm and to see the potential in a calf to become a bull, and we for us to take it to the central and to multiply its genetic material and to offer it to our customers, it's a very important responsibility. That's why we follow it since it's a young calf, this animal that arrives in the central area, and we follow the genetic assessment of the main genetic improvement assessments, and we have the partner farmers that of Alta, and in which we visit and we talk to the owners, and we go to the farm. Sometimes we select over 1,000. Out of 1,000 bulls, we select one or two bulls, and we take it to the central, and it goes through all of the processes and tests that the Ministry of Agriculture demands, and then it starts to be part of the center of collection. And it has to go through this lab first so that semen is analyzed by the lab. And after that, it's multiplied in different farms. But it's a work that we do very carefully. And it's good to remember that it's not only because the bull is the first one in a genetic improvement program, it's also important that this genetic material has to work. And the alta pattern of quality of conception and quality of fertility as well. So that all makes all the difference. It's no use for me to have the best bull if it cannot impregnate my cows, right? So then it's wasted time and you cannot move forward. So when you have quality and you have a standard, in case of Alta, an international standard, we can get there the best way possible. That's why we have the studies with bulls with 30 plus, and both for beef and dairy cattle. They are the best bulls tested in terms of impregnation and of bulls that really work. Okay, and now, Rafa, let's start. Let's talk about a Zebu brand. Has some connection to the Americanized side. So let's see Brahma breed. Breed is the Zebu breed that is spread throughout the world, and Brazilian Brahma is considered one of the best ones in the world. And I usually say that Brazilian breeders are very competent. You have a breed, and he has really good work with it. So the Brazilian Brahma actually is at the top of the quality. There was a lot of selection process focusing on improvement, precociousness, and fertility as well, and weight also for beef. And so that's why it's Brazilian Brahma is going to consider one of the best in the world. Now we're going to start Barolo. He's a reddish Brahma, and we have the combination of Australian and American genetic material. So there is the rustic performance and weight and fertility considered in only one, and that's a good option. The reddish in one of the Brahmas is really considered for exports in terms of the structure and carcass, as well as I used to say, and this combination of an Australian and American genetic material. Fertility, carcass weight, everything DECA 1 through PMGZ, and it's one of the great exemplaries produced here within Brazil of the reddish Brahma. You mentioned PMGZ, and it's worth remembering the importance of the programs of genetic enhancement here in Brazil so we can select breeds, right? It's very important, right? The program has to select a tool of information so you can make the selection. And we also select here for us for every genetic plan. Every farm has a specific area, and according to your goal and according to your farm. And there is a specific farm and every cow we have here. According with this, we have to remember that PMGBZ is very important. Now you have Mr. Ruby POE Paton. right? Yes, 86, a bull that is the gray, now the grayish bull, grayish Brahma, and it was for a lot of breeders, which are Charlie Jazz through 783, his father, and it has the blood of liberty, and I think it has through the maternal lineage, and it has a lot of consistency, a lot of muscle mass and carcass weight, and also maternal ability, and it brings a lot of performance in terms of the weight from his father's grandfather's side, Uji. And another option here of Brahma bulls and mentioned here in the technical knowledge of Rafael, right? And now we go to the next one, Mr. Uber Backup, right? And it's a very important breeder here in Brazil. It brings Achma in the maternal lineage, and it has very two important lineages when considering breed characteristics and carcass weight and muscle mass. Also, that is very important, and it's a bull that is DECA 1 within PMGZ, and not only the maternal characteristics, but the weight characteristics and the fertility and precociousness as well, because they are very sought after these characteristics within Brahma breed. Mr. Ruby Backup 1622. If you want to impregnate very easily females, that's the recommendation for you without losing the weight. It's a combination of Araguaia and maternal line Achma. So performance and gain of weight. Many farms trust and many breeding centers they invest according to our opinion, and they trust our company to bring this genetic material to the rest of the world, right? What is the relationship with all of these partners today? So, Guilherme, we always try to be within the farms that provide bulls for us to understand, especially what is the selection process, the goal they're going there. They have the tools of genetic enhancement that they're using, so exactly for us to follow their daily work and to provide a bowl, to get a bowl for Alta, and to be able to offer this genetic material for our customers. So after going to our central of donors has gone through a selection process within the farm and the Alta as well. So you can see in each bowl that you have in our company the selection process. And now I'm going to talk about Girleiteiro. Girleiteiro is known today as this way, and this I have a story for this. But in 1967, the Brazilian Association, the Rural Association of Triângulo Mineiro, mentioned it as Girleiteiro, and it was named like this. This was one of the main projects of selections that the Zebu breeders here in Brazil had. And since then, this dairy controls by ABCZ made these programs of genetic improvements to come to existence, and ABCGU, which is a fostering branch of ABCZ, and these programs they identified more and more which ones are the bulls that are superior for the dairy genetic, especially the performance of their progeny and their daughters have this ability of producing milk. And now we're going to mention a group of gileiteiros so you can have an idea. And we're going to start with a young one, Alvo Vivo from Badajoz. And it has a very interesting lineage focused on dairy and focused on through his father, which is Modelo de Brasília, and his mother, one of the most important cows in the market, was a champion here at the exposition park, which is Penha. Penha is a daughter of Tabu, and it's an animal that in the first and the second generation has an appeal of 0% blood relation with jaguar and other bulls. So it's a very beautiful bull, balanced and very good proportions. And it's a bull that it's known by its fertility and versatility as well, and the morphological quality of his daughters. And Alvo has PMGZ milk, which is over 600 kilos of PTA milk. Another bull that I want to mention here is Eurote da Jabaquara. And there was this test this year, right? The PTA milk with his daughters, proving his performance. Euro is a son of Sea Ascensão and Irana. Irana that hit many records in terms of dairy production, milk production. And Euro, besides all of the other successes and he was the first one in the group in 2022 and the third group overall in PMGZ, milk, and ABCG as well. And it's very good in terms of sexual precociousness, fertility as well, and a lot of milk for his daughters. And I also mention here another bull that is very interesting. He is the son of Aidoso, and let's ask Jim Five do Baza. Jim, the son of Aidoso, that has a very clean genetic material of many different and high quality influences in the Gir Leiteiro breed, and its maternal lineage. It has one of the most famous cows nowadays, which is Fábrica Fiva de Brasília. That is the cow with the largest descendants in the top thousand cows of the breed Gileiteiro. And this one, Jim, is the second one in the ranking, and he is considered one of the best Gileiteiros bulls from the country. And you have Jim Euro that we mentioned and Jim Alvo now, and starting this example of Gileiteiro. Three Super Bowls that now we mention to all of you, and we can see the leadership here. Both the leadership in bulls and we have the leadership in altitude, right? And Alta is at the forefront in the Zebu beef production, and the Alta has almost 50% of sales here nationally, and it's a market that is very consistent, and Alta is very strong in all Zebu breed. And ASBIA is the Brazilian Association of Artificial Insemination Companies. ASBIA is going to count and trade the semen here in Brazil and also made for export. And in export, every 3 doses that we export, 1 belongs to Alta, right? So 1/3 of the export market that comes from Alta Genetics to the rest of the world, everything that is exported. So let's move on. We still have some Brahma here, another Brahma, and then we will continue to the Nelore. This is Vengade do Viraí, and Naviraí is one of the best breeding houses of Nelore here in Brazil, but also has a good work with Brahma breed. And Vengai is the son of Araguai, which that has a lot of maternal ability, and in the lineage, we also have another bull which was very special, Caru. And it's one of the bulls that most attracts attention in Vengai due to the carcass weight and the structure, and especially genetic consistency. And Navira is very careful, and it brings a bull that it's very interesting if you want a grayish fur Zebu breed, and that's one of the best ones that Naviraí has, Vengai. And then we have another one from Naviraí, right? But it's not Brahma anymore. Now going to the Nelore breed, we have Taj, which was one of the breeders that stood out the most in Expo Zebu this year. And due to the quality that was offered in the auction in Naviraí within Expo Zebu. So it has a blood lineage through the polo the champion polo, and it has also Lokanji blood. And it's a bull that has many lineages that are the main ones, and the Armador in USP, and it has this opening of lineage, but it also very balanced in genetic material, especially when it comes to female. It has a lot of maternal ability and precocious sexual precociousness, and it has also gain weight, quality, and characteristics, and carcass weight also, and especially the finishing or the people that are after not only the carcass weight but also sexual precociousness might be interested. And if you want to have a breed at pasture in a more extensive or rustic system, especially if you want to in use it in matrices in the pasture, such as Stage. He, he is a very good option in more extensive and using pasture these programs, and now we have a bowl that is really amazing. It's like an explosion, right? Yeah, TNT, right? It comes from Truque, Brazil, and unfortunately retired last year. And he was one of the best breeders here in Brazil and up to last year. And now we have TNT as another option. And it's a great option because TNT last year was one of the top five sales of matrices and breeders. So you can bring it to the other as Armador bull. And if you want to have precocious and fertile females and high performance males as well, and high yield and carcass weight, and also it has males that have very high performance. Two characteristics that influence directly in the profit of the customer. And it has Certiplus. Certiplus is the bull that has proved superiority in terms of fertility, right? And here in Brazilians, we are very picky and we prefer autogenetics. Probably our friends and the audience throughout the world that are watching through ABCZ and Brazilian Cattle will probably choose this best genetic, right? Material, okay? Yes, and now we bring a bit about milk. So Gir Leiteiro mentioned was successful in many places throughout Latin America, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador. There are countries that have gileteiro that is very high quality. And now we would like to show you one, which is Ivan Five de Brasilia, the leader of 2019, and the best bull in the ranking of 2019. It's the son of Sansão and Nascente, that is one of the large families, which is the ginger family of Brasilia. And even the test in 2019 was first place. That is the first bull, the best bull of milk that year, dairy bull that year, and within the breeders, and it passes it down to its progeny. And now we have it in a very special phase, and his daughters are already producing a lot of milk in a commercial aspect. That is a very beautiful cows in terms of morphology and the mammal system as well, the mammarian system. It's not very deep. It's a system that is inserted in the body of the animal, and the quality of legs that is the envy of many other bulls. So now we are going to start with another bull that is very famous, but this one doesn't fall down when he plays soccer. It's Neymar Five de Brasilia, right? So he's one of the largest surprises and one of the big bets of the Brasilia farm for next year, 2023. And he is the son of Sansão na Figa, which is and it's a model also, and we also have very good quality from genetic material from this bull. And the cows that descend from him have very nice length of body, but also you have the depth that is very important. So he breeds those cows called powerful cows in terms of morphology, a very good morphology for people who produce milk. And these are very good options that we mention here. There are 5 options of G. leiteiro that we have already mentioned. And now we're going to mention another option, which is Girolando. Girolando in the zebu, for us to have this crossbreeding that are taking the world by storm, and we have the ability to export the Girolando breed for everywhere in the country here. And now we're going to show a bull that Anata Fidalgo, and it's a fifth ace bull, which is descends from Alta Hidalgo, and this is a fifth ace, right? Bull, and it's a cow very famous. His mother, it's a 1/4 of blood. She is called Prendinha. She is the daughter of Gengis Khan in Engenho da Rainha Brena. Therefore, it's a bull that has very good pedigree and genetic basis, and that's why it conserves a PTA milk, especially for by genomic assessment, a GPTA milk of over 1,600 kilos. So it has a lot of quality. It can and comfort. Also, you can trust it, and a very good option for Girolando. And it has daughters that were already born and can be shown. Anata Hidalgo, you can use it in your herd to conserve up to 65% of breed makeup. So now let's see the Nelore purple and the spotted also, because Alta has a lot of diversity in terms of bulls. So we brought a very important bull, which is the breeding center CV, one of the birthplaces of this breed. And Comodoro CV is a bull that has a combination of 2 different lineages, the Armador lineage, and that nowadays is one of the best bulls most used in Brazil and probably in the world. And the maternal lineage, it brings Jaguari and Oficial 2, 2 important breeders, considering the Nelore Mocho. And it has this group of both maternal and paternal lineage that is very proven now, and it's one of the best bulls in genetic assessment in Brazil in terms of weight and winning the bull as well. And it has very important characteristics in carcass weight. So when we look at it, we can see that it has a very important, very strong carcass and a lot of fat width. So that is a bull that combines many characteristics. It's no wonder that Comodoro is the father of Central, and it's one of the bulls that commercializes, that is most commercialized, and it also has a 30 plus as well. Now, Camparino Farm. We have Crack Fino Camparino, another option of Nelore Mocho that also has 30 plus, and you can use it because it has very high fertility. And it's a very important breeder, and it comes from Falco, a very important breeder here in Brazil, and in the maternal lineage, Lugarejo, and a bull that brings important breeders in terms of lineage, in weight, and also length of the carcass. And you can see the progeny here, and it's Crack Vive Camparino, that a bull that has a beauty characteristic and other carcass weight. Another partner is Fazenda Matinha, right? Matinha Farm. And we have here, it's one of the best breeding places in Brazil, and especially Nelore V3 and Nelore dotted. And Druso, which is one of the reddish bulls, of reddish dotted bulls that has the partnership, and it has a partnership with donor Ancora that comes from Sherlock, and Dijon. We have here Dijon that can combine the beauty of the spots in its fur and a very beautiful genetic assessment. It's DECA1 within PMGZ for all of the characteristics in terms of maternal ability, precociousness, fertility, and performance and gain of weight. And if you want a bull of this breed that is very beautiful and has very good characteristics, that is a very good option. So we have already seen some of the options in terms of beef cattle for us to have animal protein. Now we're going to move on to milk. And then we have to understand that the history of Alta within Gir Leiteiro and Girolando is a very ancient history, and it has been at the forefront from the very beginning. And every year there are the summaries of these breeds, both of Gir and also Girolando, and we also have the leaders. And this year we got the first, the second, and the third bull, first, second, and third of the Gir Leiteiro breed for milk, right? So we have Gin and Euro and Sacá, the three options, the top three in the Gir Leiteiro ranking, both from PMGZ Milk and ABCG and the summary and test of progeny. When we talk about Girolando, it's the same situation. It's the best fifth, eighth, fifth, eighth, 5/8 bull. It's Euro, and also we have and Guerreiro Máxima 2R is already there. There are two options at the leadership, and that generate a lot of credibility when you talk about Gir Leiteiro breed and Girolando breed here in our country. And that is always open to take the genetic material to any part of the world, as we have already been doing. Now let's continue now, and what can we see here in Girolando? 3/4, that is 75% of breed makeup, Hollandaise breed and or Dutch breed, and Gir Leiteiro. So we have Apollo Five da Pés, 3/4. It's the son of one of the best American bulls for milk. When you talk about American bulls for milk, which are the over 3,000 pounds of milk. There are very few, and Altafage, his father, is one of these bulls, one of the best five, and the mother is Estelinha Five da Pés. That was a cow and a big champion nationally. It was the world record beater, and we have Apollo with a GPT-8 milk that is over 1,200 kilos of milk, GPT-A milk, and that makes it not only a good bull, but also it produces a lot of milk through his daughters. Another bull that is 3/4 and at the leadership, it's Caruso da Miraí. 2B as well. It's the son of Monterey and the world record breaker that a cow that beat 90 kilos of milk. Caruso is the best one here in the 3/4 group, and it's a born leader that has been commercialized here in Brazil, even being so young. There have been 50,000 doses of his semen to be commercialized, and it can be exported to Bolivia, Ecuador, Colombia as well. We have an amazing 3/4 option. You are going to get not only the milk quality, but other very good characteristics too. And here we have another option that is a pure synthetic, the bull Falcão Máxima 2Rs. It's a very, very young bull that is in this ranking now in 2021, and it's the son of Jagunço 4 and a leader of the summary of Girolando 2019 with the cow Máxima Alta Baxter. This cow is the cow of the most production of milk here in the country. It's the first one in the Girolando breed, and she has been for the top one for the 4 past summaries or rankings. There's over 1,600 kilos of GPTA milk, and it's a very good option of pure synthetic in the Girolando breed that we're presenting to you. And here you have Falcão Máxima. It's a very good option that within the Girolando breed group. Now let's change a bit here. Let's continue to Nelore, right, breed. So you see that I have a lighter, and now we're going to get to Nelore, right, bull. So yes, 1647, it's a bull that has a very good importance in the lineage, which is the Negro lineage for people who are interested in refreshing the blood and new blood. So it's a E1647. It can open blood for Ahmadu and lineage Hambu too. It can open this lineage. So it's very interesting. The Enengruber, and you can see the carcass weight, the genetic assessment that is very well, that has very good performance. And you can see here it's DECA 1 bull in the PMGZ in every economic characteristic: weight, fertility, maternal ability, and also carcass weight, right? All right, and now we have to see another Machinha, right? Estalinho da Machinha, right? Yes, Estalinho da Machinha is a representative of this breeding place, which was the birth of sexual precociousness and feeding efficiency. Luciano Borges is a visionary in terms of selection of the Landlore breed, always using the best tools and genetic enhancement. And Estalinho is a good representative of Machinha and the son of Guarupi and Cal Sarai. And his father was the bull that has the most sons in the central, and he is one of the representatives. He is open for the lineage of Ahmadu and Uspi too, and it has a lot of strength when it comes to producing productive females. And the female cow is the main asset that we have within a farm because it multiplies the genetic of the herd. And Estalinho is a very strong bull for basis because it has high maternal ability, precociousness, and also fertility in genetic assessment, and also has good carcass weight. And the next bull, right, is the one that is the most sought after. Estoril from Machinha, right? Yes, he was the one of the young bulls that most commercialized semen because it has beauty, carcass, beauty characteristics, and pedigree, and genetic assessment. Estoril is a bull that has a very balanced genetic assessment, and it was one of the highlights in the auction of Machinha, and it's especially in terms of the genetic enhancement program because it stands out in many characteristics in the three programs of genetic improvement: PMGZ, Genesis Plus, and other ones. And Storio is a representative of this because it allies beauty, weight, carcass weight, and genetic assessment that is extremely balanced, that can be used in every goal for selection in a Nelore farm for beef cattle. And one of the breeds that we've been working with is Guzera Leiteiro, that is getting more and more adoption and is being more adopted by other places in the world and in Brazil. And that's a leader in the PMGZ Leite, which is 2021, Domino 4. He is the son of Cubito and Dondoca, Humaitá cow. This bull had the largest PTA milk in PMGZ. So it's a very beautiful bull, a very corpulent body, and it's the envy of any other bulls. And due to its family, it has passes it down a lot of milk for his progeny. You can have a good cow and good bull also that produces a lot of milk. And now we're going to the Nelore and one of the big bulls in the group of the Nelore. Here we have Artilheiro Fivec and son of Armadeiro. It's among one of the largest sales of semen, and he is very interesting because there was some awards in Paraguay that were given by his to his progeny, and then we increased a lot of the exports to Bolivia and Paraguay as well, and it's among one of the top sales of if you want a lot of carcass weight and a lot of muscle mass. Artilheiro is definitely one of the best breeders for that, Guilherme. Well, if here in Brazil are the company that was chosen by the Brazilian breeder in terms of acquisition for the best genetic and also the reproductive and breeding services for in Alta, we would like also to join this leading group, always getting the best genetic material and the best services, also the trusting aspect in terms of sanitary aspects and fertility too. You it's only good if you impregnate, and if you impregnate is you're good, right? That's our participation here in the program Brazilian Cattle. So if you want to, let's visit if you have the opportunity, let's visit our place at the Exposition Park and our Center of Technology of Alta Genetics.
Gima, I thank you very much. Rafa, thank you for bringing such genetic quality, for being able to show the whole genetics of Zebu that we have here in our country and that we're so proud of. The best thing is to know that this genetics will help other countries to increase their productivity in our broader countries here, we all have the ambition to be able to produce more and more with increasing sustainability in order to feed the world. And without genetics, that's not possible. Thank you all very much once again for the trust that you put in the work of Brazilian Cattle, for the partnership. I want you to be always here with us, and I hope everyone goes to visit you in Expogenetica. Now, you who are here at our fair, please visit all the partners of Brazilian Cattle and our international grounds. We have our doors open to receive you there. We have all kinds of companies that may help in incrementing the productivity in your country. So, once again, thank you very much for being here with us, following our lives of the participants of Brazilian Cattle. Your participation is always very important. We are here because of you. So, thank you very much for being here and see you soon. It's so nice to have you here again participating in our lives of Made in Brazil. It is of great satisfaction to know that you are on the other side of the screen and we are here bringing every day more information for you who is here in Brazil or any other place around the world. Because after all, Brazilian cattle can reach you wherever you are. And today we are bringing to you a very special team with a very important topic. If we imagine that in order to produce, and we need to produce with better quality and efficiency, in this context, you need to learn a little bit more about pasture irrigation. We have here with us in our Brazilian cattle project a new company called Bauer. It came bringing a lot of information and technology to share with you. After all, you need to produce efficiently, the same way that we're trying to do here in Brazil. So, stay tuned. Don't miss out on the information that we're going to share with you. And to bring all this information about pasture irrigation, the Bauer team has come with full force. So let me introduce you. Natalia Gregorio, Marketing Coordinator, welcome. And here with us, Rodrigo Parada, the CEO of Marketing and Sales. Welcome,
Hi, how are you
Rodrigo.
doing?
And here we have Flávio Oliveira, commercial
Thank you.
supervisor. Hello, Fábio. Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. And Maurício
Hi,
Nobre
it's a
dos
pleasure
Santos
to be here.
Calhau, an application engineer. How are you, Maurício? I'm good. So I'm very glad to have you
Great,
here with
easy.
in our program, Made in Brazil, in our lives, but also because you are new participants of Brazilian Cattle. So, welcome to Casa do Zebu. And please let the world, Brazil and the world, know about all the technology that you offer so that we can produce better with greater sustainability. So, now I pass the floor to you so that you can take this opportunity to show as much novelties as you can to our public. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Natalia Gregorio. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. And I will walk you through this immersion through the world of irrigation. But before, we are going to watch a short video about our company, Bauer. Guys, Bauer is a company from Austria with a headquarters in the city of São João da Boa Vista in São Paulo. And today we are going to talk about irrigation and the benefits and the differentials that irrigation can bring, and how important the productivity, the yield that irrigation brings can help in the world of livestock raising. So we will start with Rodrigo, our marketing and sales CEO. Thank you, Rodrigo. It's a pleasure to talk to you here. I would like you to tell us a little bit of the history of Bauer, the world history of Bauer, so that we can bring everything into context.
Cool. Thank you, Nach. It's wonderful to talk about irrigation and to bring Austrian technology to the farms and especially cattle raising, especially now Bauer is more present into this market and the possibilities. That's something that we makes us really happy. So Bauer is an Austrian company that was started in Voitsberg, a city that where Bauer was created, and nowadays we have 2 million hectares that are irrigated, and we are growing a lot in cattle breeding, and we're really happy to use the technology that is focusing on grains so much also to another area. And Bauer today is present in over 100 countries around the world, so almost all countries have the possibility to deal with sales and support, and we have almost 650 employees around the world conveying these new technologies and products. And as you mentioned here, we are here in Brazil. We've been here in Brazil since 2006 in Passo Fundo and the south of Brazil, and now we are in São João in the state of São Paulo. And the technology from Bauer comes from a long time, and we have 90 years of experience in the market, not only in the irrigation, but we are also going to talk about pivot and dealing with many different areas such as separators with waste management and other products that can help in the financial part and the economic and viability of producers in general. And also to talk about technology, which is present in Bauer now, that is in the group.
Well, I think it's important to highlight that a key point in Bauer today is resales, right? Because we have resales all over Brazil and we are reaching out to South America. That's something to discuss, right?
Sure, sure. It's we have over 26 branches throughout the country. In Latin America, we're present in Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia, and we are increasing more and more our presence throughout Latin America. We know that it's important to not only to be present with some products, but in some in areas that have specific characteristics. Bauer is expanding not only in terms of number of stores, and we are increasing. We increased almost 50% this year, and we want to take it to other regions as well in the region in the continent of America.
We have this issue of technology that you mentioned.
Yeah, the Bauer's technology is a very important area, and that is made by Brazilians for Brazilians, and it's exported to the rest of the world as well. So we are very proud to develop here in our country, and we'll talk about it later, and to see how it was, this technology was developed, and we're disseminating in the area of irrigation.
Rodrigo, I think it's important to discuss a little bit livestock raising. Irrigation is very important for agribusiness in general, but the livestock raising in particular is very strong. How can irrigation help to strengthen these two sectors of agribusiness? That's livestock production, cattle specifically.
Yes, I'm going to talk about now the parallel between agriculture and cattle breeding. So the input and to produce now is more and more expensive in both areas. So you have to get the most out of your land and your cattle and your production. Production it's the utmost importance. And now we have the irrigation. Irrigation allows to make the land always green and to guarantee that it's going to grow at the correct rate. And we also have we can increase productivity, but also for cattle breeding, we can, certain areas, we can have one cattle per hectare to go all the way up to 12 cattle or 12 heads or 12 animals between per hectare. And we can get the most of this land, and it's extremely important for everyone. And more than this, you can focus on the production. So if today you have 100 animals or in 100 hectares, you can bring them to 10 hectares, and you can also use it for agriculture, the rest, so you can complement the production as a whole. Yeah, it's the concept of a compact farm, right? Yes, another concept that is very important is not only the issue of productivity and to be having it more compact, is to have more technology within the farm, but the possibility to reduce the time. So sometimes we go from 28 months to 22 months, and this is a significant reduction and make it more competitive.
It's so interesting to see how these two sectors of agribusiness can walk together, right? Making it grow even more. Agribusiness is important not only for Brazil, but for the whole world. And as we are growing, it's important to grow together. And to start talking a little bit more about our products to those who are watching us, I will invite Flavio. Flavio is a sales consultant, and he will discuss with us the pivot irrigation. But first of all, because I know that you love pivot irrigation, but I want you to share your passion, the same way that you fell in love with pivot irrigations. Please share this passion with our farmers.
Firstly, it's a pleasure to be here in Expogenetics, sharing knowledge and talking about these passions. They're not just mine, they are from agricultures, and more and more they have been adopted by cattle breeders.
Fabio, to help them getting to know a little bit more about pivot irrigation, what is the central pivot? How can it be used in irrigation? And especially for pastures, right? It has been growing a lot.
Surely. The center pivot is made up of metal structures of tubes and trellises that is suspended on towers that have wheels and tires that will move this equipment in a circular manner. So it forms that circle in the area in the field that is irrigated, and the water spread throughout the plantation or the crop through like the rain. So we can use water, you use irrigation, but you can include potassium and nitrogen as well that are so important when it comes to cattle breeding.
One thing that I would also like to comment is that most people who have researched anything about irrigation, they know, but it's important to highlight the benefits. And I wanted you to expand a little bit. Can we use the pivot irrigation for grains as well?
All right. In relation to this, a concept that the producer thinks is the expensive is not to irrigate. So pasture nowadays is considered a crop, and as a crop, it has to be maintained and has to be kept. And when we deal with the issue of irrigation, we have a concept that more and more of intensive cattle breeding, the compact farm, where we can have in an area that is irrigated with rotation pasture with by a center pivot, even 10 to 15 animals per hectare. So that is a very important benefit. We have high productivity because we can have grass and pasture that has high protein and high quality, and we provide all of the benefits connected to this irrigation. When we talk about grain, one of the factors that raised the costs a lot, it was the grain. And what producer wouldn't like to have their own silos and their everything produced within the farm itself, right? Wouldn't you like that? So we're going to talk about this. And then what can we get in the crop? We reduce the hematoid and can increase the organic manure, and we can actually create the manure and increase the productivity. And we can do this with our separators. So Bauer has complete solutions for the separators are really good, and we separate the solid from the liquid area, and we can make the most of both parts. That's amazing, right? Complete solution for the producer, okay? And talking about what you mentioned, the investment to in pasture and in grass is more and more elevated, and the variation of temperature that we have in Brazil and the rain. So the productivity can be affected. So if you put a pivot in this area, it brings a security that we don't have nowadays, and these investments will come back to you. Perfect.
We do have a lot to talk about pivot and irrigation, but we don't have that much time. So now to talk a little bit about other products that we work with, we have, for example, the spool, and who is going to talk to us about the spool or carretel is Mauricio. Mauricio, welcome. Are you prepared?
Yes, prepared. As always, Reddit, first I'd like to thank you to be part of this event, the fair Expogenetics, and to talk about the partnership that Bauer has, ABCZ, and Brazilian Cattle and Afazu. And we'd like to talk about the wheel, the hose reel, and to answer some questions about it.
So first of all, explain to us what is this spool or carretel? What is this product that you work with?
Yes, the hose reel irrigation is a machine that is very versatile, and it can be used in areas that might be hard to inclined or steep, and areas that have some failures that are hard to go to. And you can use this equipment in areas that are smaller and productions by small producers, right, in these areas.
When should the farmer adopt this spool, this machine, as their tool?
Well, for him to know to start using the equipment, he has to understand what he has available in the farm. And the same way that Flavio mentioned, we have to know what's available in terms of energy and water. And the hose reel is the same thing. And the same way Flavio mentioned, for you to use any irrigation system, be it pivot, hose reel, and even the separator of solids, and you need a technical project so it shows you what you can do. A well done project, you can have a better performance of the equipment and better usage. And we have to go to ask the Bauer agents or any of our branches throughout the country.
Let's see. Today in Brazil, we produce two models. Actually, we have several models. Bauer has several models of spools, but here in Brazil, we export to other countries in South America two models. What are these models and what are the differentials?
The two models that we have here and we're manufacturing in Brazil are T32 and T21. And the basic difference between these two equipment are the pieces of equipment is the area of irrigation. The 21 is a larger equipment and 32 is a smaller equipment, it's basically the size.
Right. Now, I know that this carretel or spool can be used for other functionalities, right? Instead of
Yes, very
irrigation. What are
important, right?
they?
What is Yes, especially for can be used in area of cattle breeding, and it's well used for the distribution of human animal waste actually, and it needs a much more simple filtration system. That's why it's really good, and it can be used for that. It can be applied in many different ways besides the animal waste, and it can be used in other areas and also in production of grains as well. And there are many areas where it can be put into practice. And sometimes 30 to hectares, and the smaller one can be used in areas of 15 hectares.
Wow, it's he's giving us a lecture here about how we can introduce irrigation in livestock raising to make it more productive. And for you to understand a little bit more, I I brought here with me a video that I would like to watch with me. It's the testimony of our clients. And after the video, we are going to discuss Bauer's technology, which is a key in the area of irrigation.
We chose the Bauer pivot because we had some experience and we've been doing this for 38 years. And since we knew the characteristics of Bauer pivot, we decided for it. We chose Bauer pivot due to its structure, right? Because there was a very robust structure and the operation. I didn't know the pivot, but we did believe in the brand and we installed both. And the first two here in Santa Helena. And it's been working and it's on operation for 17 years, and it's been a good time, right? So we're really satisfied. The robustness of the equipment is really important. We had the other equipment, and there was a lot of problem with maintenance. And when we went to the factory, a Bauer factory, we saw this situation of being maintenance of firm and robust equipment. So that made us trust them better, and the technological part as well. We can operate it through a cell phone, started, and I thought it was a very robust pivot because it's been working really well. It has a lot of technology built in, and it's aggregating value to these crops. Our crops, our pivots are monitored even through cell phone. We can connect them or disconnect them from home, and we can monitor it from our home. And we had the opportunity to install these pivots. We got in touch with many factories of pivots, but the one that made us trust them better was Bauer. We like their material; it's very strong. They have amazing, excellent service, and they said, you know what, my pivot has tradition from Europe and throughout the world, and I thought, you know what, that was a bit suspicious, but I heard them, and the first thing that I heard was the quality of the product. I checked whether it was a good quality product, and I felt a lot of certainty in their personnel, both in their administration part, the people that handled the funding, and when I went to see the factory in São João do Boa Vista, I saw the structure of Bauer motors, and a producer feels secure when buying this equipment. I believe that reselling is a very relevant part and as a very positive part of our branches and in the production chain, extremely important in the decision-making process. And I believe it can only be done this way. As a producer, if you go to Bauer directly and buy something, the role of the technical role and the services of resales, it's crucial. So these two pivots was installed during the pandemic, which was really hard. It managed to install it with parts that were hard to get, and they were always fighting for us. And they have a post-sales maintenance and service that is very good. It doesn't matter the time, any time of the day, during day or night. And I had never seen that, like to install such huge pivots. During the pandemic, everything they promised, they did. And during the pandemic, and I thought, you know what, we were not sure about it, and they did it. And one day, two big trucks came here because we were not expecting, right? We didn't even have the place to put this material, but everyone from Bauer did their parts very well. I'm a very satisfied client. I want other pivots. I'm going to expand, and I'm definitely going to buy Bauer first because I feel very secure to work with this brand that is working with me in the irrigation system.
Guys, it is very gratifying to be able to watch these videos and see the farmers. People like us are there on the day to day, very happy with our products and with irrigation. This is what we want to bring for new farmers, new producers, and the livestock raising area. But nothing is possible if you don't have technology to help us. And who is going to talk to us about the technological side of Bauer? It's William. William, welcome.
Hi, Natalia.
Welcome to our live. And so tell us about ear control and what's the automation of the pilot.
Well, the most important is not just to have the irrigation system. Hicontrol is part of the Bauer Group, and we created the intelligent farm or smart farm for us to make the connectivity more easily in the field, from the capture to the delivery and the pivot.
All right. And today we are exporting this ear control technology not only to Brazil, but to several other countries that we have been able to bring this technology to, right?
Exactly. Bauer pivots nowadays have that control technology built in, and we are also going to the international market in South America, even in Uzbekistan. We have a control panel with a Bauer pivot to bring the technology to the field.
Wow, you who are watching the show and think, oh, I need to turn on my pivot. I just use the cell phone and you can turn it all on or off and everything is good. And to show that this connection between irrigation and livestock raising, we will present another video of an expedition, Brasil Irrigado. It's a farmer who uses the irrigation for his crops. Check it out.
We have a family that, in our family history, we were cattle breeders. My great-grandfather that came to Goiás, and I lived in Brasília, and I came here very often into the region, and I studied in the rural area through my childhood years and my teenage years, and I always identified with that, with the place. I graduated in business management in Brasília, and then I worked with Ambev, and after that I went to Campinas, and at the end of 2003 I decided to come here, and I wanted to work with the management of the companies, and I also have my own business within his farms. And we have been developing little by little. And in 2008, because of the need to keep incrementing and aggregating value to the business, we decided to set up a pivot. In reality, it's a region that has a lot of chicken farms, and there was an option. It was whether to set up a chicken farm or set up the pivot. So I decided to use the pivot back then. Not only I believe that I made the right decision, I'm sure now. And I got in touch touch with the sales rep of Bauer, and we talked to them, and into 2010, and we set up the first pivot. And when we started our project to set up the first pivot, in reality, I didn't know anything about irrigation or pivot technology. That's why I asked a technician from UNAI, and he came here and he provided a consultancy in buying the pivot. I didn't know Bauer back then. And that we needed two pivots, I believe that we needed. Carbonell went there and he checked them out and he said, Ricardo, go ahead and buy them. It's in terms of structure, robustness, it meets all the requirements. And we bought the first pivot. And with the sale of the second pivot, it was easier for us to have a business with Bauer. And after that, we had the automation, because the first was not the automated. Every time we had to go there and turn it on, and the pump factory, pump house. And now our proposal that we had was to go with automation, to start with automation. And nowadays I have the two pivots, I can turn them on just through remotely with my cell phone. And it's very important, two aspects. First, because there is an operational demand that is of your team, not to go every time there, any time that you handle and you deal with the pivots. Another thing that I think is super important in this process is for you to deal with irrigation in times that are more profitable, which are the times where the energy is cheaper, And I do the programming, and my wife sometimes, and I say, you know what, I need that pivot to rotate 90%, and I can use it within that allotted time. So that has been generating a lot of energy saving for us, and it's amazing how our energy bill is cheaper than the one last year. So we have two pivots that are working, and last year was just one, and just working through at the allotted time where the energy is cheaper. This specific farm, we have 500 hectares of crops, but we also have 250 hectares of pasture. There are 80 to 85 hectares that are irrigated, the 55 that were first irrigated, now the 30 that were included this year with the other pivot that's made by Bauer too. In terms of confinement, we had around 1,000 animals. So we do have the soy crops and grass also, because when it's September, the cattle can enjoy from this area. And within the system of the farm, the irrigation fits like a glove when the irrigation with cattle breeding. Usually in the summer, we plant soy or corn with levels of productivity that of 25–50% sometimes, and very often we plant sweet corn with grass, and after that the cattle can use that area with rotation pasture. My consultant of cattle breeding, he says that here at the farm is a flex pivot system, everything, cattle breeding, crops and agriculture. So in a year, we had the whole summer crop, and winter, it was just rotation, It's one thing complementing the other within the system. The irrigation is the integral part of the system. So now we have confinement in which we put a lot of ingredients, rock powder and phosphate, and it's the cattle is in confinement. And after that, we'll get the manure. We'll spread it around the area without any fertilizers, and it's the whole system that it's fertilizing. And the same thing that I plant soy, and then I have the soy parts that will be used, and the corn that will be used as cattle feed. So all of the systems are part of each part is connected now. So now I leased another farm in Indianapolis from my father, and I'm planning 400 hectares, and we're already thinking about buying other two pivots, right? So in the long term, we are intensifying and we're also increasing the business of irrigation. The system really works. It works economically and in agricultural terms and environmental and socially as well. So it's a sustainable system.
I think better than we speaking here to you. It's better when our clients they give their testimony of what they live on the day to day. If you want to see more videos like this one, you can follow us on YouTube. We have all the videos from the expedition Brasil Irrigado, in which we go around, talk to our customers, we learn about their story, and see what they do on the day to day. This speaks much more than we can do. It speaks more than us when they show the day to day. We see that the pivot is flexible and how this has been increasing so much and how technology has been helping.
Yeah, the integration with crop is of the utmost importance, and we are intensifying throughout the country. And we're not present just one region of the country, in the Central West, which is very famous for it. No, there are regions in the Northeast where we're doing the same thing in the South as well. So there are extreme differences in temperatures and rain seasons. So we are enabling this possibility. So I wanted to mention this technology because Mauer has the mission to bring cause irrigation with quality, but with robustness, but with technology. And this is one of the advances. Can you talk about the advances that we have, the advantages that we have? Yes, we're talking about the telemetry, how we can connect the producer with the field, and it can be done through remotely through their mobile device or computer. You can access everything that is going on in your crop and action by turning on the pivot and any failure that might happen in the field. You can get a real-time notification. So when it is so convenient to do this, to perform other activities and to know everything that is going on in your crop, so that brings even more security. And the pivot is part of this with real-time information. Another parameter that is really advantageous is the tariffs, the energy tariffs. And we know that the cost with energy is one of the highest costs in irrigation. So with the control technology, you can automate your pivots for it to activate whenever the energy is cheapest, and especially at night. You can manage that better this. So, and you can follow it with the platform of EE Control and with the pivots of Bauer. You can make decisions for what's best for your crops. And areas that were irrigated or not, the estimate of energy that costs that irrigation system. And you can have a history and you can export this information and use it for future decision making processes to make your decision more efficient. That is, besides the producer not having to stay at the farm, he can irrigate it better and more efficiently, right? I think it's amazing, right? Exactly, Flavio. We have producers that are based in other cities and their farms are ran by other managers and they can follow everything that goes on, and that is extremely important for the producer and the trust that it provides him.
That's great, guys. I would like now to talk a little bit about this partnership with ABCZ. It's very good to be here, very gratifying to have the ABCZ as a partner to help us to navigate the world of livestock production.
So first, we like the possibility of being here and the partnership to present our technology and our products. Bauer has the goal to increase more and more the partnerships and the market And it's the possibility to be together with Brazilian cattle and BCZ and other colleges such as FAZU as well. We are in the middle of talks to bring technology to the group and the young people within, to present products to them and to present assets and develop this technology for Brazilians and for South American countries. This is really important. We're very happy and to be able to start in a first contact in Expogenetics in terms of irrigation and cattle breeding and the products of Bauer.
Sure. We have a lot more to talk to you about, but you have to enjoy the whole event. So, whoever wants to learn more about irrigation, especially for livestock raising, please get in touch in our social media. We are always available to talk to you, Brazilian, South American farmers. I would like to thank very much for this partnership at ABCZ and for this space to talk to you. Well, that's that. Please follow us on social media so that you can learn all the news and follow us. I thank you as well because you gave us a real lecture and shared what I love, which is technology. So it's very good to know that we have a new company within Brazilian cattle that is so capable and that is able to bring this technology that's so used in Brazil now, bring it to you anywhere in the world. So thank you very much. And feel always free to come to Casa do Zebu because this is our house. If the goal is to improve livestock production with sustainability, we are always here for you. So I wish you all the greatest success. And you, our audience, anywhere in the world, thank you very much to be here watching our lives. Stay tuned. We still have a lot more information in technology and genetics to bring to you directly from Brazil to your home. After all, when it's to produce more, produce better, we will always be here to share with you. We have a lot more to come. Stay tuned. See you later. Hello. Hello. It's so good to have you here with us to be able to share what we have that is the best in terms of genetics and inputs for the Brazilian livestock production coming right to you, to your home, anywhere in the world from Expogenetica. And here in our live from Brazilian cattle, you will be able to learn about a farm that develops very special work due to this dedication and the love they put into their labor. We are now introducing to you Agropecuária Maripá. And here with us at the studio, we have Paula Botelho, the marketing manager, and William Pereira, who is the representative for the commercial area. Welcome to our house, the House of Zebu. That is also your house now. And remotely, we have Dr. Marcelo Batista de Oliveira, the president of Agromaripá, and Mr. Luiz Otávio Pereira Lima, the director. Welcome to Casa do Zebu. And now I will pass the floor to you so that you can conduct the live and introduce, not only for the Brazilian audiences, but especially for the international audiences, this wonderful work that you developed with Nelore and Gir. And you guys at home, stay tuned and pay attention to all the details because they have a lot of things, of quality things to show you. So I wish you all the success and I will be back in the end to say goodbye, all right? See you later. Bye-bye. Welcome, everyone, our friends from Brazilian Cattle. As Maísa introduced me, my name is Paula. Agromaripá has been in the market for more than 40 years, working with Manga Larga Marchador, Gir Nelore, and Cabra and Sami goat. But I will not expand on that. I will show our institutional video and be right back.
For over 40 years, Agrippa invests in the selection and improvement of its animals, focusing to the fidelity of each breed. Horses and mares with a very good and excellent structure, with a good walking structure and build characteristics of personality, balanced and resistant. Horses that are genetically made for endure sports, work riding, and riding in general. The combination between genetics and well-being resulted in animals with good temper and intelligent and determined to face challenges. The same dedication and work hard as breed and functionality are met in other breeds raised by Agrippa. For over 20 years, it has concentrated the breed Nelore in the state of Mato Grosso and around the Amazon biome. The herd counts with the most modern technology such as artificial insemination, transfer of embryos, genotyping, and carcass ultrasound, with a focus on the genetic improvement of future generations, the quality of the meat, and the procedure that involves the complete cycle of the animals, breeding and fattening of the cattle. Animals that have been tested and were approved in the best selection programs and genetic improvement in the country. Agromaripa looked for in India the birthplace of the Zebu and the Gir breed. The result of years of the selection are animals of excellent breed characteristics that are precocious and conformity for high production of milk, with bulls that are the best in the test of progeny. From France, the breed of the genetic base of goats Saanen came that highlight in the production of milk and in the main milk competitions in the category, and it's been considered the best rearer of goats in 2019. There is sustainability, commitment with the environment, and social responsibility are present in Agromaripa. University Agromaripa amplifies the knowledge and enables and educates the business associates. And the children are included from the very beginning in children's education. So Agromaripa is moved by challenges. Looking at the future, it works so that the products and results of years of selection and improvement will be available for customers. Following the evolution of cattle breeding, to be sustainable, develop people, to be an inspiration for other breeders, and to look at the future are values and that strengthen the work of Agromaripa.
Well, this is a summary of the work of Agromaripa. But to talk a little bit more about its history and how Agromaripa came about, I would like to invite Dr. Marcelo. Marcelo was the founder of Maripa. How are you, Mr. Marcelo?
Good afternoon. Nice talking to you, and especially Arthur. It's great to be together with you. And Luis Otavio is there. William is also there from the commercial part, Paula, and our publicity, marketing. And I'd like to tell you that I'd like to show a little about our company. Not only with Manga Larga horses, and goats, we want to show a little with our people, our personnel staff.
That's very good, Mr. Marcelo. Thank you. Now, Mr. Luis Otávio, would you like to say hi to everyone? Welcome.
Surely, Paula. It's an immense pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, Paula. Good afternoon, William. I'm Marcelo. And everyone watching us in this important channel, which is Brazilian Cattle, that takes Brazilian Zebu to the world. It's a huge pleasure to talk about the project of Agromaripá and the breeds G and Allure.
All
Yeah, let's
right,
work.
let's work,
We're here,
William.
right? To show people at home this work that Maripá has been developing and is impressing a lot of breeders in Brazil, but not only in Brazil and throughout the world, right?
Yeah, now not just Brazil, it's worldwide. If you're here at Expogenetica, please come and visit our stand. We will have some
Yes,
cattle
exactly.
there,
We'll
like
bring
shear.
some G cattle, and Laura as well will be in Pavilion 21. So if you're a breeder and you're visiting Expo Genetics here in August, if you're here in person, come here to visit us.
We will be waiting for you there. And I would like to call Luis Otávio to show the work that has been developed and its fruits, its results. Luis, could you tell us a little bit? We're going to show a sequence of Gir cattle. And if you could talk about the work developed with this cattle, it would be wonderful.
Yes, Paula. We're going to show in the video some of the cows that we had in July and represent a bit of the genetic work that is being carried out in Agromaripá. Milk is very important to highlight. We're showing cows that we don't have any artificial production in the milking production. So there are cows that go from 11 liters of milk that produce up to 17 liters of milk. And when we went to India, the average of 17 to 15 to 17, it was a good average for the zebu in the conditions where they were. And here, for milk production, we also believe that from 13 to 17, it would be viable to and sustainable for milk production. So you see that Agromaripá, and for us, purity is very important in terms of the continuity of these characteristics. And we have also incorporated important characteristics in there.
And now, talking a little bit about the products that we have, William, we're going to briefly show the products that we have in terms of Gir. And if you could comment for those watching at home.
Yes, I'm going to show you the battery of the bulls, the breeder bulls that came from the embryos that came from India. And now we have 7 bulls. And I usually joke that they're bulls that and we're selling the semen from these bulls. And I usually say that what's very clear, everything, all of the bulls and all of the semen are collected in certified centers certified for trading, not only in Brazil but in the rest of the world as well. So if you have a group of bulls and you have amendoim, urucum, arjun, and within this group of bulls, and both arjun and amendoim are within the test of progeny and that's in 2024. The test of progeny are going to be given. This test in the BCG is being really waited. The people are looking forward to it, and we have been bringing these bulls in Expo Zebu and also during the visitation. The international audience that Brazilian Cattle brings for Expo Zebu, when people come to our pavilion and they see the G cattle, everything that we say that it's a beautiful animal, the pattern, and without losing its characteristics of G breed, and with milk production, people who are working in Agromaripá, it's a very specific work, and it's very well done. And during Expo Zebu, it was an interesting situation. We talked, and we also are going to make the embryos of these animals available. The idea is to provide the embryos along with Brazilian cattle and people who import these embryos to provide this genetic material not only to Brazil but abroad as well. And the semen also and the embryos will be exported to.
And William has reinforced all the semen is sold through specialized central following all the national and international protocols. William, is there a bull that you would like to highlight that has higher
So within the
production?
group of these bulls, one that stands out is Amendoim, a bull that has an amazing production within Maripá, and the milk of A2 and 3. We have A Junior that is A2 and A3, and people have been looking for the genetic material of Arjun. And this is really increasing for this Maripá cattle to be more important. And what's really important is the blood refreshing. So nowadays the cattle breeder needs the Maripá genetic and genetic material. And I usually say that bulls, they're getting old, right? And this genetic material, there's a saying that if you drink water, you should drink clear water, right? So Mr. Marcelo e Luiz Otávio did the hardest part which was to go to India, go
It
through a
was
lot of
very
trouble.
hard. There's a lot of
They,
stories to tell about
right,
that.
Luis? And you're gonna
Yes,
send
yes, I
Luis
will
back to
send Luis
India, right?
Otávio to
And
India again.
lots of problems. And this genetic material is now available and accessible to any breeder. And we saw this in the auctions, which was the last one. The search for the genetic material is very important, and it's very sought after. And the breeder has to take this opportunity.
For sure. And I would like to reinforce this. Come to our stand. Please visit us at Expogenetica
Yeah, that's it.
and
Look at
see the
the
actual cattle.
samples, and if you are visiting, the pavilion will be really accessible, and you'll be able to get to know the work that Maripá is working with Gia and Nelore.
And William will be waiting for you there at the stand. He is 24 hours a day in the
Yeah, we
stand.
have to be ready, right, to welcome everyone. Luis Otávio there is also is joining our team, and he'll be available for 24 hours as well. It's important to highlight that after we collected the embryos in India, we donated the cows, and discovered these cows in the temples, and we donated to the origin. So these cows, because we still have 500 embryos that are going to arrive in Brazil, and Mato Grosso is receiving part of it, and that's going to be important to provide more genetic variability for this breed.
That's very good.
I would also like to make some comments. The issue of all, maybe Luiz Otávio, that's something that is very important. In Juiz de Fora, I go around that area, and people have the cattle chirolando, dairy cattle as well. All means translating meat into calves. And surely it has economic value too. As William said very well, we're also trying to enable all in terms of weight in the cattle for not only the Nolor. And if you would like to complement, it would be really good. The importance of the calf that is weaned off and good weight, it will provide sustainability to the milking production in the region and Juiz de Fora. And not only there, but in the rest of the country, milking production, even if it's a small production, small scale, it's very important.
Thank you, Luis. Well, we have a slogan that is, we call Fidelity to the Standard. So in Agromaripa, we are very, very attentive to this standard. What is fidelity to the standard? Now I will ask Mr. Marcelo to tell everyone what is this? What is fidelity to the standard?
The issue is very important. Many people ask me, what is fidelity to the standard? You cannot create a breed within the standard completely. And that is Mangalaga Machado, Nalor as well. Regardless of this, we focus on the standard, what we are trying to search in our standard, besides all of the qualities, productivity of cattle, we prioritize, but we're always thinking about the temper of the horse, and the breed beauty has to accompany it. It's no use raising a Nellore cattle that it's outside the standard, even though there is weight. For the horses there is the same thing. It's no use of breeding horses that don't have balance, and it's too little, right? So fidelity or faithfulness to the standard involves all, and we try to do and to follow a line that is very realistic. We don't want to breed cattle that is of mixed cattle. I want a pure cattle. And we do prize this. And in the LoR and ABCZ, the Nelore cattle has a beautiful beauty standard that is very important. So faithfulness to the standard, we always have to meet this requirement because we are always I always like to say that we're within standards.
Thank you, Mr. Marcelo. Luis, if we bring this fidelity to the standard, to the Nelore breed, what would be the attributes that we're looking for?
Now talking about Nelore, right? It's fundamental our criteria to talk about the criteria of selections of Nelore in Maripá. Because fidelity to the standard or faithfulness to the standard is so strong that the phenotypical evaluation is all animals are assessed by us, and we go through the scoring and classification of these animals. Well, the first thing we look at is the phenotype. And within this phenotype, we have an animal that would the ideal of that animal. And we prioritize not only health and adaptability of this animal within the system in which we're breeding it. This is expressed by the pigmentation of this animal's silky fur and short fur. It's not an angry animal, a good temper, also alert as well, balanced animals that walk really well. And distribution of the muscle mass in the carcass is very important. It's an animal that should not have one mass. It has to be homogeneous, the distribution of muscle, and it has to be according to the breed and the ears according to the Nelore. So all of it, body compliance and appropriateness, All of this is the first part of the selection of criteria of selection. If we like the animal, we will look at the genetic part of the animal, and after that, it cannot be disconnected also the genomic from the genetic assessment because that provides more trust to the numbers. And we look at the genetic assessment and what is really important, which is to have a balanced animal and an animal that we has a good performance in growing in terms of breeding and being precocious and in terms of muscle and structure. And so when we look at the animal, if the animal fits our process and we look at whether these criteria are very well distributed. The third thing that we're going to analyze that we also consider very important is the conformity or compliance to the phenotypes that we have here in the farm, such as weight and ultrasound of structure or built for animals that breed precociously, whether it is according to ADEPS is talking in the genetic assessment. So for us, this is a result that the animal carries the genetic potential and it's being expressed or shown. These characteristics are shown because it's showing through this ultrasound of the muscle structure and because it's gaining weight. We use all tools from ABCZ in our production process. Not only and test and of gain weight and in the pasture and in confined space is trying to identify the best system that fits their animals in one situation and another situation. So that is a test and the selection criteria that we use here in Maripá with NOR. The phenotypical, the genomic assessments of the DEBs, and the correlation of with the EDPs. And finally, we choose the top 10 of the herd.
I think now we should show instead of just telling. Luis, let's show some heads of cattle so people can see. I would also like to call a few of the bulls that we are in partnership with the centrals. I would like to start with Bodrum 2, which is in partnerships with CRV Alagoas. Luis, could you talk about this animal? Yes, we need to show and tell, right? Yes, we have to show the result.
Yes, we have to show and talk and show about it, right? And yeah, that's interesting, right? Because it's a beautiful bull and very strong muscle structure throughout the skeleton that is very good, a posterior that is very big, wide, and that is a class of a phenotype, right? Of a phenotypical assessment. It's a bull that it's in CRV. It's a progeny of a champion, donor cow, and has an important family. It's the bull 2016. And ABCZ has a very high level and very high level in a very all the phenotypical characteristics such as structure, muscle mass, and precociousness is a very high ranking for all the maternal characteristics and all the breeding characteristics and reproductive also and in precocious. So everything that I mentioned in the selection criteria, that was a bull that stood out within this, and not only for its beauty, but also its beauty and within the system, production system, EDPs that are very well distributed within the metrics, and the assessments of the phenotypical assessments according to the EDPs. And so that is the result. And this is we're in CRV, and the semen is available to Brazil and the rest of the world. Great, Luis.
That's good, Luis.
I wanted to say something here. It's not just for you to get to a bowl like this that was mentioned. This bull has been selected ever since it was a calf, and out of the group, out of 1,500 calves, and they have here a bull that has very good characteristics, and you can see that for Maripá to be get to this point and to trade the semen here, sell a semen, we have a program of an assessment. It has gone through the program of ABCZ with which is Penati. That was the best bull in 2018. So the its products are just coming into the market now. So it's not a bull that came out of the blue. If you look at it from the very beginning as a calf, since the first classification in 1, 2, 3 out of 11, it has been selected at the very beginning. And to get here today, we brought this bull during Expogenetica, and it was one of the big hits here. And it was hired by CRV Lagoa. And everything considered, it's a project that Maripá tried to has to produce or to breed calves of quality and females of quality, and for what the breeder is looking for, which is an animal of very high quality.
So it's worth getting to know and coming to our stand to get to know some of these bulls. Bodru is there probably, right?
Definitely, right?
Surprise, surprise.
So it's gonna be
Thank you,
surprise, right?
Luis. We now have another one, Buju from Maripap. If you could play the video, please, for Luis to comment.
That is a very interesting bull from 2017, and it's in autogenetics now. And then it was in last Expo Zebu. It comes from a backup that is very good. It's a backup that is fits the genetic standards and the selection criteria of Agromaripá. We used the backup a lot here, but we had to go through a lot of selection, and this one here went through a criteria that was very important, with a very beautiful muscle mass that is very well distributed through its skeleton, and a large part in the back, and forearm that is really good, opening here at the front. So that is a very good quality bull. It presents all of the genetic traits of superiority, and it's a bull that has DECA 1 15.62 for the ABCZ criteria, DECA 1 for all of the growing characteristics and maternal, and it's extremely important that when we see a bull that is very high in all of the figures, in the numbers, we see the characteristics, which are the carcass or skeleton structure, which are very important. Why? Because it presents DECA 1 for AOL and for many other traits, and in the ultrasound of the carcass at the 17 months old, when the test was made, it was 87 centimeters. When it's 75, it's already excellent. So it's going to have a lot of meat in its bones. So it has 18.5 and 17 in the index. It shows a balance of this genetic or infrastructure to support all of this muscle mass and all of the meat in the carcass. So it has 18.5, which is way above what is considered excellent. And the characteristic, which is of the taste, it has 3.5 in terms of carcass. So, well, that is a bull that having a balanced and distributed muscle mass, a beautiful look, and it has superiority in terms of carcass that definitely has this characteristic that is very high, and it's going to be passed down to its progenies.
William, would you like to comment a little bit?
Yes, it's a bull that really stands out, right? Bougie. And it's everything that we were talking about at the beginning. And within this work of assessment, it's what I usually draw the attention to 3.5 in terms of assessment. And what we've been trying to achieve with the newer generations. You can see that Bodron is the 2016, and then this one is 2017. And you can see that there is a search for this excellence and improvement. And every year we're trying to improve more and more.
For sure. As this is a live event, we have a time constraint, right? So, Luis, if we could talk a little bit about Goiano and Godard, could you talk about them at the same time, very briefly, so we can continue?
Yes, I have to talk about it because that shows all of the work of selection that has been carried out. There are two groups that and people and we say that the younger group is always better than the previous one, right, Luis? Yes, Goiano, right, of 2019, a recent group that was hired by ABS, and it's a bull that is genetically superior, and also it's a bull that is very interesting, and it's going to join the beauty of conformity and compliance in terms of phenotype with an index of 24.50 of DECA 1, especially the ABCZ scoring. And what stands out in this bull Goiano is especially the positive correlation between growth characteristics with participation in the gaining weight test. It was the first one, I mean, it was the eighth place, but elite class in this test, and it has DECA 1 in the characteristics of growth for winning and many other characteristics. So these are things that are synergic. It carries it in its genetic material, as it's shown in the test that was made to assess the gain of weight. Many DECA 1 characteristics for many other characteristics, and carb and the carcass also 3.1 in terms of taste. So it's an animal that is really interesting to be used also in many types of herds. Gouda now, also from the generation of 2019, it was a champion in many tournaments, tests. What stood out was the DECA of in terms of that has 7.75 in the milking quality characteristics and is DECA 1 for any characteristics, growth, breeding, carcass, that has all DECA 1, and it presents a genotype of all at 14 months, which is already an excellent measurement. Besides being an excellent bull with a lot of masculine characteristics and muscle mass that is very good and balanced throughout the skeleton, and it's going to make a lot of success in passing it down to its progeny. Yeah, that is the bull of the new generation. It's very weighted in the DECA 1 assessment. It has very high characteristics and scoring in the next generations.
Very good. Now we are going to talk a little bit about semen and embryos, and I would like to call Patrick to give his testimony from Vila Nova Veterinária. He's going to talk a little bit about the quality of the embryo, and then Luis Otávio can complement on the
When we
project.
follow the evolution of a herd, some characteristics are more evident. And after using in vitro fertilization to multiply its animals, the average of eggs per per embryos per cow is very high because its reproduction characteristics are very inheritable, and there is a scrotum that is larger also. There is also the rate in terms of conversion of embryos, and we used bulls and cows of Maripá of 41%, and the national average is 30%. So if there is a certification of superiority, breeding superiority, definitely the animals of Maripá will definitely receive this score. It's important to highlight here that we choose our donors considering this criteria of selection that I mentioned before, and 15% of our best cows or of our herds are donors today. Out of 2,000 cows, we have 300 donors for genetic improvement, and we try to have 1,000 pregnancies, and we use these young bulls believing in this genomic material and information, and also in the selection. The 15% of the animal we use for collecting semen very, very carefully considering the domestic and international market, and we have the ease to use them in the study and measure what is going on with the progeny of these bulls. So this work to create genetic material and use it gives us a lot of experience to talk to the market.
Well, we don't have a lot of time. Time is of the essence here. So I would like to ask the people from the technical area to play a video with the bulls that we have, and William will comment on some of these products.
Yeah, the bulls from the generation. We have to remember that Agromaripá, we have this work of collection of semen in our center. Everything within the legal parameters, both for export and domestically as well. This material is collected from these bulls to be exported, and we also have the group of bulls, the lower group that is here to meet the demand of all Brazilian breeders, but not just Brazilian, but international, and also international breeders. This is a group of bulls that is first class, and any breeder everywhere can
That's
have access
nice.
to it.
And I had brought an interview from Luis Otávio, but because we don't have a lot of time, I would like just to highlight the concern that Agromaripa has with the environment. Luis, could you please talk a little bit about the regenerative livestock raising, what we have been doing, and about the carbon project? These are the two initiatives that are happening in Maripá today.
They are very important projects that are within the Amazonian biome, and our concern with the environment is very strong, and it's within our mission. And this technique comes to have sustainability within the production system. We want to put these animals within the system and to favor this system so that the waste of the animals will be incorporated and will create organic matter, and not to use soluble fertilizers in any type or form, to use natural products in this pasture and to make it regenerate by itself and to perpetuate, because it's something that has to be integrated with the animals. We understand it this way. And that's why we looked for this methodology that can be seen in videos in our website. And the diversifications of these areas in the soil, we use it using our own environment and plants from this area. And now talking about the carbon credits, we managed through a company called Ecological Consultancy, a project that had, which is a project of generating carbon credits through the conservancy of the forests. That is, we have a contract with them that our areas of permanent preservations, the APPs, and the legal reserve areas will be kept within a system of location in a place where there is a lot of deforestation. So we made a commitment with it, and we got carbon credit because of that, and it was made available in the voluntary carbon market throughout the world. So it's already accredited, and we already have these credits that have been validated and approved, and we have gone through international auditing, and these credits were generated already.
And if you want to learn more about the work of Agromaripa, please access our website and on our social media, our YouTube channel, Instagram at Agromaripa, and our official page on Facebook. I would like to thank Mr. Marcelo. Would you like to say any last words? And Luis Otávio, you as well?
I would like to say bye to everyone and to have been for the space to have been granted for us. And I wish a lot of success to everyone and ask everyone who can visit us. They will be really glad at this Expogenetics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Marcelo. Luis?
Yes, my regards to everyone. Maripaz has its open doors in the Maripá region in Mato Grosso. It was a huge pleasure to be with you to present what Maripá means within the
And William?
cattle breeding context. Thank you and everyone that is here in the Expogenetics. If you want to know a little bit more
Just a
about
little bit.
Maripá, you can come here and you should know more our work. We'll be here in Uberaba during Expogenetics, and it'll be really a real pleasure to welcome everyone here.
We will be waiting for you. And now I pass the floor to Isi, who welcomed us here. I am 100% sure that the quality of information that you shared was amazing. So I thank you guys, Paula, you, William, as well, Dr. Marcelo, and Mr. Luis Otávio, who are participating remotely. And I would like to thank you for sharing all the work, such important work that you develop in Agromaripá. We thank you. We wish you all the best and success at the fair and all throughout the year. Thank you for the trust in our work and for accepting our invitation to be here. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
thank you.
Goodbye. And to you who are watching from your country, from your home, thank you. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. We have a lot more information to share with you. After all, this is Expogenetics, and we will reach you wherever you are. See you later. If you think that we came here today just to talk about genetics to the whole wide world, you're mistaken. Because came here today to chat and laugh a lot about everything that happens in our midst. You are very welcome to follow this podcast with me today. I have wonderful partners, Cris Botelho representing Asbia. We have Murilo representing CRV, and we have Paulinho representing Genial, and Guima from Alta, and I, all again here with us, having the pleasure of sharing this table, this round table with great friends. Very, very, very big friends, very great friends, right? Yes, there's something that we cannot escape that pun, right? Everyone here is big. So, you understood how things are going to be here today, right? We're going to share stories with a lot of joy, showing what's the world of Brazilian genetics that we export all around the world, doing wonderful work in several other tropical countries, taking these genetics forward. We do have a lot of stories, and we have actually even some artists over here. Gima, for example, is a singer. He was singing Backstreet Boys here earlier. Well, Lizzie, yeah, uh, we always try our best, right? For Brazil, it's very important that we do all of this because we need to understand that in addition to the superior genetics that we have a lot of joy to spread. And a lot of little stories, little anecdotes. And we have the central here in Uberaba, and we have a phenomenal worker called Zé Renato. Zé Renato speaks as many languages as you want. He is a polyglot. Oh, do you know the guy that was trying to say polyglot and actually said troglodyte? Oh yeah, I remember that story. Well, but anyway, I remember very well when I was with this guy, Zé Renato, and he is a very expansive person, very outgoing. He speaks English and French. He thinks he is Arabian, actually. He even greets people in Arabic when they're there. And there came a guy saying that he was Spanish, he was an ambassador, but he had been living in Brazil for 20 years. José Renato was talking to him in Spanish, and the guy said, "Oh, don't worry, I speak Portuguese very well." And then José Renato said, "But I don't," in Spanish. And it got to a point when he was explaining the dairy here, and he said, "This bull is very good." And then he looked and said, "Its mother is a cow." And then the ambassador actually thought he was talking about his own mother, not the bull's mother. But it was very, very funny. Sorry for the anecdote, right? But I just had to share this. Anyway, we work with a lot of joy, and this shows how uh, everyone goes to our store in the central and they go trying to find José Renato. I wanted to pay homage to him in this podcast because, yes, we all acknowledge that. Zé Renato, a kiss for you. Congratulations. Zezinho, see, I talked about you online. You know, I was visiting Nilce. Nilce is one of our administrative assistants. She started 6 or 7 months ago, and we went to visit Alta. I told her, "You're going to meet the guy, the guy with the best customer service ever." And we spent the morning with him there, and he was very impressive. Yeah, it's always like that, right? But that's the good thing about working in our field. Now, if if you wanted to make everything awkward, we can make it 3 minutes of silence, right? After all, guys, I can't do that. My family is Italian. I can't stop speaking. And please do not ask me to not gesticulate because I gesticulate all the time. Yeah, she was actually hitting the table several times. Paulo, you're so quiet over there. Yeah, I just wanted to say that Zé Renato is really, really an artist, I would say, in terms of customer service. Oh, I want him to train my team. Yeah, well, okay, let's move along. So anyway, we had a visit of people from Arabic countries, and there was a whole ritual. We studied the menu. We did a lot of preparations to receive this committee. from Arabic countries, and at noon, everybody turns around and they are going to pray facing Mecca. And who was there praying with them? Zé Renato. Zé Renato is, I don't know what happens to him. He's like, he really does incorporate something. What I think is also very good and very pertaining to the topic is how interesting it is, how great it is to see how strong Zebu is. Because if a lot of people from all around the world are coming here to learn about Zebu, to see this evolution. Yes, sometimes I'm amazed. People come from the literally the other side of the world to come here and see this. And here in Uberaba, it's not easy to get here, right? Do we have problems with time schedules for the planes? There's a lot of aerial traffic, and we always receive a high number of international visitors because that is the fruit of the work of several generations. We do have to acknowledge everyone that until today are working, not only from our generation, but previous generations who planted the seeds, and now we are harvesting the fruits. It's interesting when you said about preparation to service the clients. We do a lot of that, and I think that's why they come here because they feel welcome. We study all the costumes of the habits, the religion, the menu that we're going to serve, and we are always prepared to welcome people in the best manner. Yeah, that I think that's a characteristic of Brazilians. Yes, yes, that does happen a lot. We here in Uberaba, I think we are more welcoming and friendly. Yes. Well, Uberaba is great. Sometimes I look, I go to fairs all around the world, right? So whenever I come back, I tell my girls, because I do have a all-girl team, okay? I always say, modesty aside, we do a very good job, right? Because receiving people from so many different countries, from so many different cultures, they come to Expo Zebu. We have visitors from 30 different countries. We have people from Islamic countries, we have people from Latin American countries, Europeans, and then in the end, everyone gives a very very positive feedback, and we understand that it's not only a matter of quality. Of course, quality is the main point, the quality of our genetics that is exported worldwide, right? And in all tropical countries who always excel. But there is also this different side of the work about welcoming people here. Yeah, the best thing is that the results are very good. But the back office is important. How many times did you have to improvise because people ordered something, they wanted something different? Well, last night, somebody asked me for hot water in the room of the board. It's not a regular tap water. No, they wanted warm water at middle of the night. So there are several stories, many of which I cannot tell. Okay, some anecdotes that cannot be shared. Yeah, keep it to yourself. Paulinho, you like the stories, right? Yes, I love them. But this is what's different, Isi. This joy that we Brazilians have in working with everyone, and because we are not in the big cities, we are a bit more relaxed as well. Yes, and when they come here, we hug people. We're not just like shaking hands. The first time you shake a hand, but after some time you start hugging people. Well, I think our main differential is that we find a way. Brazilians always find a way, you know? And I think part of our culture is based on service, which is to help, to be together. When somebody from other country come here, I we do the best that we can to solve their problems and to service them well. I think Brazilians in general, and especially our group of people who work with Zebu, we want to leave it a good name, you know. W- I want people to not say anything bad about our service or our visits, okay? There's another thing that I would like to add. You talked about the past. You know that I am the son of a history professor, and I'm part of who I am because I have a history of my own as well. And I was very impressed with Brazil. It's not because we brought Zebu here, but because we developed Zebu. There are so many countries that brought Cebu to their fields, but they didn't develop it. We know, we see some places that are different in terms of history that seek our Zebu because we have developed it. I think that's important to remind everyone and talk about. I know it's a joke that we're what we're doing, but it's important to say that yes, we brought Cebu over here, but what we did with it is the best story, is the main difference to bring everyone that had Zebu in their countries are coming here. They see that Brazil is a very happy country, very party focused country, but we work a lot. Yes, and we work with the same joy that we party. Yes, they come here to see what has been done. I think it's a matter of focus. We needed to improve. We needed to produce. It's not just focus, it's vocation as well. The Brazilian breeder has this gift, you know, to be a breeder. For example, an ambassador of ours in the United States, Marco Jr., he is a Brazilian breeder. He has his genetic is acknowledged in United States because he works with the post sales, and he has this gift for being breeder. The kind of breeding that he recommends. Where does that come from? It comes from working with Zebu here. And there is I would say that's a golden cradle because of the story of his father. Yeah, sure. I'm going there on the 7th to work on his auction. It's called Power of the Brain Cells. And I'm going there to cook the barbecue. Wow, they're going to introduce them to the Brazilian barbecue. You're going to cook ribs. Yes, there will be a Brazilian Day experience, and we are going to cook some ribs and tell the story from the genetics to the plate about what we have been doing here and in Bolivia. Oh, actually, going back to that subject, Bolivia is a great client of ours. Every semester, the numbers have shown that they increase every semester. Well, in fact, we have wonderful partners. I always tell our clients how they actually become not just clients but partners in Latin America who have been falling for the Brazilian genetics for the last few decades. And today we have the possibility of seeing beautiful work being done abroad. Like Bolivia is an example. They are doing wonderful work. Paraguay as well. I was in the Bremen conference and I got there and saw the level of the Nelore bulls that is Brazilian genetics and the example actually pulls more people. What's happening? Colombia is now working with us. Bolivia, Ecuador, it's spreading. Their good example is catching followers. Yes, when I went to Colombia, I went for a lecture talking about genetic improvement. I was not even working in the international department yet. Okay. Yeah, if you say it's back in the early 2000s, it's not so old. Come on. You have to say the 1900s to be old. Yeah, well, I'm here standing very proudly, 47 years. Well, I want to tell an anecdote of Colombia. Today is the day of the anecdotes, right? They called me to judge an exhibition there, and I went. So they were calling me Don Guilherme, and there was the poncho that they gave me a poncho that was very beautiful, and I was touching the poncho, but it was very hot, and I was like, touching everybody's ponchos. They gave me one, and I went to, and one of the things that I found wonderful when I was trying to judge, I was actually one of the judges in the competition, and everybody was treating me with a lot of respect as the official our judge, right? And everybody was watching, and I like to speak. And my Spanish, however, my Spanish was not very good. So I decided it was a big championship. So I chose the best adult cow and the best heifer. And then there was the dairy category as well and the reserve. I needed to select two animals that would be the main winners of the reserved. The cow, the dairy cow that we had there, she was like amazing, but she was a dairy cow. Their harmony of her morphology would not be the one for the reserve. Now, the champion, the champion was very easy to choose. Actually, she in other exhibitions she was also chosen as the champion. But there was this big cow, and there was this heifer that I looked at it and I said like, oh, that's so beautiful. I was torn. I was torn. I remember our old friend Benem looking at the cows in our championships, and so I chose the cow. And then Fernando Duran came in, and when I was choosing the specific for the reserve, they said like, this is the one, the winner of the tournament, right? And I said, yes, I will decide the winner of the tournament. And so I chose the heifer. I chose the young one. 50% of the audience were like cheering, and the other 50% were just like very quiet. I was so afraid. I was so afraid because I was afraid of some kind of retaliation or something. And then when we went to the National of Brazilian Cattle, that little heifer was the main winner. Okay? So it was a very gratifying experience. I thank Colombia a lot because that was a lot of pressure for a judge. Come on. I understand that position because this issue of valuing the knowledge, the know-how that we have. I have been spending a lot of time in Bolivia, and it's amazing. Izzy has seen it. It's amazing how much they respect and what they want and what they want to learn. It was excellent. It very impressive. Actually, Claudio also knows a little bit about the region. I think you all do. But the Central America is another region that we have been very happy. We are always happy when we are able to go to any of those countries in Central America because they acknowledge the work that we have been doing in Brazil, the work that we have been doing with our genetics. It's not just the genetics itself, is the technology that comes with, you know? I talked looking at both of you, but I forgot about the King of Bolivia. There is the King of Bolivia. I'm here talking and I'm not mentioning the King of Bolivia. Paulo, I pass the floor to you. Let's pass the floor to the king of Bolivia. Yeah, no, come on. Think he is a celebrity when he goes to Bolivia. I had to say it, guys. I was looking at the king of Bolivia. Okay, wait a second. Wait, stop. There's the king of Bolivia here. If you don't tell the story, I will tell. I was there one day in an auction. I had some problem. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a problem that I had. I don't know if there wasn't a taxi or if it was something with my hotel. I don't really remember. But I told Paulo at the time, I said, Paulinho, sit here with me. And I told him the problem, and he said, no, there are no problems. You're here with me. And he solved everything with the hotel and the transport and everything. Come on, Paulinho, tell us some anecdote from Bolivia. Oh, tell us about the podium. Well, Bolivia for me is my second home. I go to Bolivia. I'm 52, right? I went to Bolivia for the first time. I was what 20 something. I'm not was not even 25. So I've been going there for more than 20 years. For me, going there is fantastic. I know everyone. I am loved. I can say I am loved. And all my friends that go to Bolivia and have any problems, I solve the problem. Some of the breeders say, but you have to go to Bolivia. I tell the breeders to go and see what's happening in Bolivia. I think they're very, very welcoming. They are very friendly, very similar to us in that point, and the genetics is very similar to ours as well. They have been working on improving what we produce here, and they are interested, and they 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 work as a family together. Of course, I did go through some problems over there. Yes, I think well, sometimes somebody tried to rob me, and in one of the first times I went, actually, I took a taxi to go back to the hotel, and I was very frightened because the taxi stopped, the two more people came and they wanted to get the money and the passport. And I went running the streets. I wanted my passport back, you know. And then that was, I think, was the worst experience in any travel that I did abroad, was this one. But after that, I learned a lot of things about Bolivia, about learning where to go, where to eat, where to stay. And now I go there, I feel completely at home, like a native. Yeah, it's his natural habitat, right? Oh yeah, I love Bolivia. I think I'm home when I'm there. Well, uh, we sometimes think everything is wonderful when we talk about genetics for the world. But I want to touch on a subject that is the difficulties that we have to take our product to other countries, you know? It's not as easy as it seems. It's not as easy as you guys are saying. Yeah, let alone the opposite, actually. There is a lot of obstacles, and we know that fairly well. From starting a sanitary protocol, there are several protocols that take 10 years or 15 years. So it's a very hard battle until we finish the process and we are able to export that generic material. So in order to help with the development of the productivity of livestock raising in that country. So it is literally an odyssey. It's an odyssey. There are a few things, for example, some countries, of course, they do demand the tracing of diseases and a few issues in terms of breed purity. Here in Parque Fernando Costa, It started because of ABCZ. And they have a notary office that registers this period. They've been doing that for 10 years. Yes, and they do have a technical body that's unique. They're the best in the world. And actually, this week we are going to bring the technicians of ABCZ to chat here as well. Oh, please invite me. I will bring a harmonica. It, if you bring the harmonica, it's not going to be a podcast. It's going to be a full feature film. Well, I think it's important to remember that there are some demands that the public needs to know that they exist. They are kind of absurd. They are impossible. Sometimes they ask for a sanitary protocol. They ask for tests of diseases that don't exist in our country. If we don't have the disease, how are we going to test for that disease? And it's very hard to make other countries understand that we don't can't do test it because we don't have the disease. And so there's a lot of back and forth in the negotiation. Sometimes it takes years. So it's a very difficult process, and people need to learn more about that. But what I want to know from you guys is about some problems or challenges that happen in the centros. Oh, God, that's an everyday affair. Come on, you're talking about the collection, and sometimes the bull is negative for a certain aspect, and you have those doses, and but what you do with that? And then they turn to you and say like, oh, you have to sell all those doses. Well, you can make a sale, right? You can always make a sale. I think the tongue factor is maybe the funniest one from the challenges that we have. Sometimes you think you are saying one thing and then you're saying something else. So the language factor is a problem. This is sometimes it's very fun. Well, actually, I have doubts even reading the protocols because a lot of things are not clear, and we have to find a way to serve it. Oh, I hate the word or in the protocol. You say like this is this or blah blah blah. No, I go crazy. I go crazy. I call. They say like, oh, but what about this or? In in Portuguese, we can interpret a sentence in many different ways. I also see that in addition to the traditional places, that we are receiving contact from places we didn't even think we were reaching. But what do you think I've been doing here for the last 20 years? While you are here selling for Latin America, we are knocking on the doors of all those countries, of the Southeast Asia, for example. Well, the other day Nigeria called. They wanted to do matings with our Zebu genetics. And we are going to reach Nigeria now. Do they know about the barbecue? Do you need somebody to go make a barbecue? I'm available. Chris, I can help as well. I can carry the boxes and the knives. The boxes of beer, the boxes of meat. Oh, both. And okay, I will start talking, guys. If you don't talk, I will keep talking. There is another challenge that we have as well. Oh, I prefer to hear your stories. You are much, much funnier than I am. You are a lord. No, I just want to know the gossip. Please bring on the gossip. There are there are several things also about culture. I think everybody has faced this cross-cultural problem. Sometimes you go hugging somebody and then the person, you can't hug that person, you know? And they stiff and they look at you like you are threatening them, and you give them a big hug, and then I see that the person, it's like completely scared. Do you know this story of Gima, of saying that he studied zootechnics and so on? I am to blame for that. He was the marketing manager at ABS, and we were going to see some cattle in Aracatuba for the matings, and separating which cow goes where. And then he liked it. And he liked it. And he said that he was going to study zootechnics just to work with that. I don't know if you know this history between Chris and Guima. It's a very long story. He's married today because I introduced him to his wife. Oh, he saved you from a lifetime of loneliness. I am from the time that I joined university. Chris had hair long down here, right? He was sitting there playing his guitar. I uh, I used to help organize the animals as well. Chris would come in the middle of the hallway. I would disappear because I thought this guy was not that good. Well, there was once actually. I was dealing with an animal. I was even holding a piece of leaf and trying to feed the animal. Well, we were going to do work on a mating or separation of cattle for mating, and after that, we usually have a barbecue and some beer, right? And one of our partners said, I think it was 40 kilometers from Aracatuba. Said we have to go, and then our friend Wilson said, "No, no, 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 no! I have to barbecue a lamb for you." And we stayed longer, and I was my father was friend with his father, right? They were childhood friends. So and we were childhood friends. And I was looking at Chris saying, like, we have to go. We have to go. But no, I said, no, don't worry. I'll call a friend of mine and I will solve that. And then he just called. Everywhere. He couldn't call anyone because all the phone numbers are wrong. But we ended up having to stay to have that barbecue. Well, thank God that our lives and the life of working with Zebu takes us to such wonderful paths, right? Yes, and it's a path of a lot of learning and brings people from other places, right, Glauco? Yes, I was thinking about that. You talk about the cultural difference between countries, but I am from Fortaleza in Ceará, and then when you go to Rio Grande do Norte, it feels like you are in a different country with a different culture. And Pernambuco is different. Bahia is possibly another planet. And when you get here to Uberaba, in our operation, our cattle operation with Zebu, each one of these places have a different aptitude. So there's a different climate all around Brazil. There's different pasture. Some places doesn't even have pasture. So, and our zebu is thriving and producing. And yes, zebu adapts in a different way to each kind of place. Yes, I think we are blessed as a country. We are blessed to be able to work with this. Exactly. We depend on the lineages within each breed and the system of production of the clients as well. We have clients from different places every day, and we ask, what's your project? What do you want? Sometimes the guy doesn't know. Sometimes they say, oh, I want beef cattle, but what he really needs is dairy cattle. So it's important to think about that. And in terms of management, the more we go around, the more we see interesting things. In Canada, they have a different system. And a while ago, I went to Dubai and we visited some Brazilian animals that are there. And literally, it's completely different than the way they lived here in Brazil. And the animal is there, it's producing, you know. Beef breeds are doing very well. Dairy breeds are producing a lot of milk, and you see, and it's a blessing. When I lived in Alberta with Marco Jr., we used to go on a horse during the winters. We had to break the ice on all the troughs so that the cattle could drink waters. And actually, in the farm, we had three warehouses where we had to round up the cattle and put them there because of the cold, right? But as you said, they're producing, it's working. I once went to visit a client in Ecuador when you were talking about diversity of food and everything. I got there. There was this kind of a soup. There was kind of black. It it was powder. I looked at that. I didn't know what it was. What was that? And I said, well, I have to take some. I will take to Uberaba, and then I will evaluate to see what this is. I will take a sample, and then we will balance the diet. So okay, I took this feed, this weird powdery black feed. I put the package in my suitcase, right? And it became like it was a little bit squashed in the, between my clothes. So at the airport, oh my God, I can't believe you're gonna say that. And so anyway, I am at the airport and they call my name. They call my name over the loudspeaker, and there I go. And they took me to a small room, to the small room in the back. They opened my bag and they asked me, what's that? I said, I have no idea. That's why I'm taking it with me. I said, oh, you must know. Oh, well, I explained it was cow feed, but we need to know what it is, and we have to do a lot of tests. But in the end, it was what we call babaçu, which is a nut typical of the Amazon region. And it was burnt, but it was comical. Oh, thanks God it was only comical that you didn't actually get arrested, right? People, don't do that. Don't follow his example. If they have weird feed wherever you go, you keep it there. I actually did something like that. I actually did something like that. Oh, the stars are coming out now. I brought locoto and aricanda. And now we are going to have a production of both of those exotic items here. Yes. We- this about bringing things from other countries. I am very lucky with that. Why? Why, Paulinho? Well, when I started going back and forth in Bolivia, I had a friend who worked at the auctions, and he asked if I could take something for him, and he gave me some money. And I was weird, I was very scared. And I thought that everybody was looking at me and everybody knew. I thought that I was doing something wrong. Yes, you were, honey. I did that like 3 times. The fourth time I told him that I didn't feel very well doing that. Because every time I do. But the first 4 times for me was like my heart was being taken out of my chest. And then you arrive in Bolivia. Things are improving now, but in the past, it was much harder. On the third time, there were some rooms. I was in the line. I was looking at these rooms, people inside those rooms, and say like, "Oh my God, they're gonna arrest me." Yes, I will go. I'm going to be taken to the room in the back. You wouldn't, but now you are. And it was not any actually legal. There was a certain amount of money, right? But I still was very afraid. The first time that they asked, I didn't know how to say no. This thing about taking and things to other countries and bringing them back are very. So please don't tell. Serginho from Araguari is one of the best salespersons I've ever met. We both went to the United States in one of the Houston fairs, and Serginho took a lot of ropes and whips to give people as presents. But Serginho didn't speak any English. So when we took our luggage, there was a woman with a Vassie hound that went straight to his suitcase. And the police woman was pulling the dog, and the dog was jumping on his suitcase. And then started to picking up the all the items. They were made of leather. And I said that it was a gift for his friends, you know. And then she said, "But what do you do? Is he a cowboy?" And I said, "Well, kind of, yes, kind of exactly that. He's retired cowboy, I could say." So this rendered a lot of jokes for the future. As you said, he was white and he was purple, and the dog was coming to his suitcase. It was so funny. The first time that I brought it from Bolivia, it was an amount of money that was legally allowed to bring, you know, but I was still afraid and insecure. And there was like that little room in the back. I was looking at them, say like, I'm going to be put in there. You know, there was this older lady that arrived and she opened her suitcase. I think there was like a lot of things. There were food and a lot of stuff. And she passed, okay? So I thought that if she passed, I could pass as well. In Bolivia, I had, I think, three problems. That time I was robbed, and this one. And when we take clients from here to go there and see this new culture, we took two guys with us. They were very humble farmers. They were not poor at all. They were well off, but they were very humble. And one of them was carrying just a backpack. And we landed in the United States. We took a bus to the hotel, and somebody asked, "Oh, who's hungry?" Oh, because we have here some in his backpack. He had like a host of things, like cheese, bread, and I don't know even what else. And then there was a little dog doing the inspection. The dog was actually the dogs in the United States. They were like the same lady in blue, the officer with the dog, and this little Basset hound like was like going on his boots, but for the same reason because of the smell of the ladder. Oh, guys, I tell you, I think we're going to have to have another podcast to tell all those stories. We have already exceeded our time. Oh, really? Yeah, and we didn't even start talking about how our genetic is going back to India. We didn't even mention that. Come on. So I think we will have to hold another podcast so that we can continue. Yes, to be continued. To be continued. Well, guys, unfortunately, our chat is wonderful, but we have to say goodbye and to be continued, like you said. Oh, and follow up on Brazilian cattle and ABCZ because we have the ASBIA this week. And yes, and there are a lot of things happening in Expogenetica, and you can't miss it. You have to watch the lives, the podcast, but the fair is wonderful as well, full of technical lectures and a lot of other things. So, friends, you know it's always great to have you here. After all, this is Casa do Zebu. This is your house. If it's the Zebu's house, it's your house. And the best part is being able to talk about these wonderful things with the people we love, doing what we love, which is working with Zebu, which allows us to be so happy and have so many stories to tell. Yes, for sure. Wonderful. Yes. Guma, thank you. And you're going to be seen in the whole world route. So, friends from all over the world, I hope you continue participating in the activities of Expogenetica and watching our podcast. Thank you. See you later.